conversations that are hard to have, that are forbidden with the majority of people. When I say the Pandora's box has been opened, I say that as after listening to the Jubilee debate with Amanda Seales. I look at it as a pressure cooker. And no, I'm not going to say everybody should know what a pressure cooker is. I didn't know until I was well into my 20s of what a pressure cooker was, and when I started cooking. And you cook in the pressure, and pressure builds up and cook whatever type of meat, whatever type of stew, and eventually it's time to be done. It's time to come on out. And these topics have been forbidden. They have been, people have been dismissed and murdered and hurt and dismissed and all these things if you talk about these issues in ways that are uncomfortable to others. And so I'm gonna give the way I talk about it and the way I see it in my view is that sometimes people are not comfortable with talking and being open for many different reasons. It could be the background, it could be the personality of the person, the behavior, this and that and that and that. But this just goes to show what I keep harping on, and what I have learned is that it's about personalities, behaviors, backstories. If you want to throw a horoscope in there, if you want to throw what side of the tracks the person come from, it's just many different things, right? And so for so long I have watched, and it's hard to find your like-minded people to go deep and to have different conversations with, but I have watched, whether it comes from foreigners, immigrants, white people, black people, regardless, the part that I'm talking about at this moment is that we had got so hooked onto color, right? And we'll walk down the street and turn our nose up at people because of color. And so that's where the bamboozlement has come in. Because a lot of us think that me growing up in the black community and being black by two black parents is that we're supposed to, and because of media, it's because of what we heard in the school system, our friends and this and that. If a person is dark skinned, we're supposed to bash them because they're dark skinned. If a person is light skinned, we're supposed to bash them because they're not dark skinned, they look too white or something like that. And then you have the paper bag comparison of the brown, they call it copper skin now because of the discussion with Indians, right? And so being careful, I've noticed, growing up and stuff like that, the only ones that I could relate to, and it was regardless of skin color, regardless of shade of color. It was all about the mind. And those that were able to, you can tell and learn in different personalities that they were not about color. It was more about the mind and what was going on. It was more intellectual, being able to talk and have a decent conversation of what was really going on. And so, and not regurgitate what someone else has put into the mind of how one should think. Right? And so, it's always been a very difficult, very hard conversation, but I've just watched as those okay, so I am going to read something later from what I typed in. Was like, I think to start with is what is a critical mind? Why should we be able to think, have critical thinking and think critically? And my experience with that as I got older was from, as my children was getting older, they would question everything that I said. It became a debate. They had their voice, I had my voice, of reasoning, and they had their voice of reasoning and why they don't agree or why they do agree, things of that nature, without any control, without any manipulation. Also, critical thinking goes in the workplace, and it's very important to have critical thinking rather than a one-track mind, a mind that is not expandable. In the workplace, because people are different, behaviors are different, personalities are different, wants are different, needs are different. The same in the school system. Yeah, you teach a certain topic, but that can go deep also, right? So, after critical thinking, I put in, I forgot what I put in, but I'll be back. I'll talk about that later. But woo-wee, that interview.
The Pandora's box is now open. Metaphor, awakening truths about racism, prejudice, history, and awakening voices that have often been silenced based on everything you shared. Here's a strong speech introduction draft you could use. Polish into a powerful opening, but still in your voice and style. Speech introduction draft. When I say the Pandora's box is open, I am not speaking of myths or fairy tales. I'm speaking of lived reality. For too long, we've been blindsided, persuaded, and yes, even bamboozled into believing false images of ourselves and of each other through history, through media, through subtle and not so subtle division. We've been told that one shade is better than another, one culture more valuable than another, and those seeds of division kept growing in silence. But now the silence has been broken. The conversations that once felt forbidden, uncomfortable, or even dangerous are spilling out into the open. And though it is painful to watch and painful to hear, this moment is necessary. Because when the truth comes out, whether it is racism, nakedly exposed prejudice dressed up as preference, or the wickedness of jealousy and hatred, it forces each of us to decide, will we speak or will we turn away? For me, I choose to speak. I choose to remind us that not all white people are bad, not all light-skinned people are bad, not all dark-skinned people are bad. Character, behavior, and humanity matter more than color. But I also choose not to waste energy where it cannot grow, for I know those who carry poison in their words or malice in their hearts cannot walk with me. And though I cannot change them, I can stay true to myself, protect what is sacred, and stand with a community that chooses love, dignity, and truth. The box is open, and once it's open, nothing can be hidden again. So the question is, what will we do with what has been revealed? This opening frames your deep points in a way that is poetic, challenging, and clear for any audience. It sets the stage for you to dive deeper into details about racism, misconceptions, division, and empowerment.
Part 2. Speech body. Thing 1, delusion of division. Talk about how media and industries have often portrayed lighter skin as superior and darker skin as undesirable. Share how this conditioning has quietly shaped how we see and treat one another, even within the Black community itself. Explain that this wasn't just by accident, it was by design. Division has always been a tool of control. We were taught to distrust what should have been our foundation. That was the real bamboozlement. Now, with the box open, we can no longer deny that illusion. We can confront it. Bring up moments where normally quiet or silenced voices are now speaking candidly. Like the Jubilee interview clip you saw, people were shocked. But it's proof that the pressure cooker can't stay locked anymore. Acknowledge the discomfort, but remind the audience that awakening always feels disruptive before it feels liberating. The voices that were once silent are now echoing Pandora's boxes, spilled not just pain, but also courage, and courage is contagious. Share something personal about your approach. How you choose to focus not on skin tone, nationality, or status, but on behavior, character, and spirit. Maybe tie in an experience from the workplace or community that showed you the difference between destructive people and those who uplift. Say plainly that there will always be minds poisoned with hatred, but we don't have to engage with them. Protecting your peace and standing with those who choose truth and dignity is an act of power. Pandora's box revealed parasites, those fueled by envy, wickedness, and hate. But it also revealed the beauty of those who stand boldly, love fiercely, and live with dignity. That's the side I choose, and that's the side we must continue to build on together. Closing. Transiting back to the metaphor. The box has been opened, there's no closing it now. But what spills out doesn't have to destroy us. If we see clearly, if we call things by their right name, if we root ourselves in community and truth, then this moment is not the end. It is the beginning of healing, of awakening, and of liberation. Part 3. Breaking free from mental chains. Ladies and gentlemen, family, friends, and seekers of truth. Today I stand before you with a message as urgent as it is personal. If we desire genuine freedom, we must first break free in our own minds. For too long, society taught many of us to fit in, to obey without question, and to cling to old beliefs. Sometimes we call it loyalty. Other times we call it tradition. But when stubbornness keeps us chained to outdated ways, when we refuse to reflect, to grow, to challenge inherited patterns, what are we really loyal to? Often it's not to ourselves or our future, but to habits that quietly hold us back. Research shows that this rigid mindset can be damaging, not just to relationships or careers, but to our very selves. The refusal to change is a powerful fuel for addictive behaviors. We reach for distractions, numbing agents, or quick fixes to avoid the hard work of transformation. Stubbornness that once seemed protective soon becomes a prison of our own making. But here's the truth. To become empowered, to find peace, and to break cycles of addiction, we must have the courage to question our own beliefs. Are they serving us, or are we serving them? This is not weakness. This is the hardest kind of freedom. Knowing myself means looking honestly at my stubbornness, asking, is this belief helping me or keeping me bound? It means committing not just to improvement, but to liberation. If I can do this, I'll become an example for everyone watching. My breakthrough is a beacon. So I challenge you, reflect deeply, release what no longer serves you. Build a life on conscious choice, not unconscious obedience. Because every step you take to free yourself is a step toward helping others do the same.
I used to hold on tight to every story. Told myself it's safer living in the past. Old beliefs like shadows on my shoulders. Didn't know their grip could ever break my past. It's easy to hide in comfort, hard to admit I'm wrong, but stubborn hearts stay empty if change don't come along. Break these chains, chains no more. Open my heart and walk through the door. Lies I believe, I let them go. Truth sets me free. Chains no more. Sometimes I ran to the wrong solutions. Lost myself in habits that became my cage. Now I see addictions just confusion, rooted in the fear of turning a new page. Will I stay bound forever or rise above the pain? It's only when I surrender I find myself again. Break these chains, chains no more. Open my heart and walk through the door. Lies I believe, I let them go. Truth sets me free. Chains no more. If I can change, then so can you. Let go of fear and start anew. My stubborn pride gave way to light. No looking back, I found my fight. Break these chains, chains no more. Open my heart and walk through the door. Lies I believe, I let them go. Truth sets me free. Chains no more.
Embracing honest self-reflection and letting go of old beliefs is not just important, it's imperative. Research confirms that a stubborn refusal to change fuels cycles of addiction and blocks personal fulfillment. Set yourself free, and you become a light for others to follow.
I just had a quick thought. I wanted to share it, but it's something that I'm not going to dwell on. Is crash out. Why are so many people crashing out? Like, just going berserk and just, I guess they call it crash out. And then real quick, I think back and say, I'm glad I don't have those moments anymore. I don't have those. And I have had those crash out moments. Those, But anyway, I had another thought also. Something that just made me smile and feel so good when, like in the workplace environment, you're in a meeting or you listen to the meeting that you did or did not attend, and you hear someone speak up, and they speak up without fear. They speak up eloquently with dignity and respect by putting their foot down eloquently, beautifully, with dignity. And I mean business respect. And just to hear that and watch that and feel that, it just made me feel so good. Like, I'm so proud of you. And you give me strength and hope. And just make me feel good. Like, wow. Totally awesome when somebody can do that and not have an attitude for themselves, and then not come off to others to make them feel, with the intent to make them feel a pointy finger typey deal. You know, like, I mean business. And things of that nature. It just feels good when I see people speak up and stand up, shoulders back,